The Three Sisters. Many years ago, in a far-off land, there lived 3 sisters. They lived in a little country cottage by themselves, and since there was very little work for them to do, they spent most of their time idly daydreaming. One day, when they were sitting in their garden, they talked about what it would be like to be married to the Tsar, the ruler of their land. "If I were married to him," said the first sister, who was short and very plump, "I would spend all my time cooking him delicious meals." "Eating is all that you ever think about," the second sister snapped, for she was tall and thin. "Now, if I married the Tsar, one would spend all day at my loom, waving the finest cloths and tapestries for him." "What would you do, little sister?" they both asked the other girl together. The third sister was a slender, fair-haired girl, and the other 2 did not really like her because she was so much prettier than they were. "I would bear him a son," she replied, "and he would be a hero." It so happened that the Tsar himself chanced to pass by at that very moment. He liked the idea of a hero for a son, and seeing what an attractive young girl she was, he asked her to become his wife. "Your sisters may come to Kori too," the Tsar told her. "They can be cook and court weaver." The 2 elder sisters were wild with rage and did their best to find some way of getting their own back on their sister, now the Empress. However, soon afterwards, the Tsar had TB leave for the wars, and it pleased them greatly to see their sister so sad and mournful as she awaited his return. But their newfound happiness turned to rage once more when she gave birth to the Tsar's son. She decided to call him Hero. It is impossible to describe the wild fury of the elder sisters. In their rage, they sent a cruel message to the Tsar, telling him that the Empress had given birth to a son who was crippled. This news made the Tsar very sad, and he ordered that both the Empress and her son be banished from his kingdom. The wicked sisters, however, were not content with this. They told the Tsar's ministers that the Empress and her baby were both to be shut up in a barrel and thrown into the sea. The order was carried out, and the Empress was left helplessly floating in the sea, sealed up in the barrel with her child. Then, as though by a miracle, the son began to grow bigger and bigger, until he became a strong and courageous young man. With one blow, he CKED the top from the barrel and managed to guide it towards the shore, but it was not the land they had left. It was a desert island. The ex-Empress was very sad and rather frightened, but Hero did not lose hope. "I will make a bow, mother," he told her, "and carve some stones, long and pointed for arrows. We will be able to live on what I hunt." "We cannot do that forever," his mother replied, "and who would ever find us on such a lonely island?" One day, when Hero was out with his bow and arrows, he spotted a swan swimming near the shore, anxiously flapping its wings, as if it were frightened. Then, circling high in the sky, he saw a vulture, hovering above the helpless swan. Quickly, Hero let fly an arrow and brought the vulture crashing down into the sea. "Thank you," said the swan, and Hero just stared. Surely it had not been the swan speaking. "I said thank you," the swan repeated. "You see, 1 a.m. no ordinary swan. I am a magic swan. You saved my life with the swiftness of your bow. If you had not have been there, I would have been killed by the vulture. One know about the trouble that has been brought upon your mother and yourself, and as you helped me, so I will help you. Go back and find your mother and tell her to lie down and sleep. You must do the same. When you awake, things will be different." Hero went back and told his mother all that had happened to him. "It cannot do any harm," she said, when he told her what the swan had said. "Although I do not really expect it to do much good either." Hero and his mother lay down on the shore and fell asleep. They slept for many hours, and when they awoke, they could scarcely believe their eyes. There, stretched before them, was a marvelous city of white marble and gold. In its midst stood the royal court. As they stood looking at it, an old man came up to them. "We have been expecting you," he said, and bowed very low. "Expecting us?" asked Hero in surprise. "Why, we did not even know that we were coming ourselves. "That is right," his mother nodded. "I was the Empress of a far-off land, but because of a wicked plot by my 2 jealous sisters, my baby son and one were sealed up in a barrel and cast into the sea. Eventually," went on Hero, "I grew strong enough to break the top of the barrel, and we drifted ashore onto a desert island. There we have lived for many months. How could you possibly be expecting us? You are to become king of this city, indeed of this whole wonderful island," replied the old man. "We knew of your troubles, and we watched over you to see that you came to no harm." At these words, a whole host of soldiers, artisans, nobles, women, and children came running towards them. Our king, one cried. "Welcome, sire, 1,000 times, shouted a second. "May you rule over us wisely for many long years," called out another. Then they all began to chant, "Long live the king, long live the king," and they picked him up and carried him in triumph to the fine royal palace where the rich coronation feast was waiting for them. Hero was officially made their king, and his mother, the ex-empress, became the queen mother, and they both lived happily at court for the rest of their days. Kindness, courage, and truth will always rise above envy and deceit. The Empress's faith and Hero's bravery transformed exile into triumph, showing that goodness cannot be destroyed by jealousy.